Okay, so here's a conversation that I had with Claude, and I sometimes share bits and pieces, like screenshots from these conversations, but this time it was so funny that I decided to record it in its entirety as a video. So here we go. This time conversation started with me finding this document on the web, which is just a list of usernames, like email addresses and passwords. And I have started reading this list, and I noticed that there are like passwords, like, I don't know, like Anthony123 dot for an account of like stony18 at hotmail.com, which is just amazing. Just, use your name and 123. Or there's one like Nissan 240 SX, stuff like that, like say no to drugs, for example. Like, it's clear that people were trying to come up with passwords, but they were too kind of lazy and naive, and that's why these passwords ended up on the web. Anyway, I just came across this list, and it was so funny that I decided to share it with Claude and see what it sort of comes up with. And I'm going to read my input. So I was like, do people really use passwords like these? Like Nissan 240 SX, say no to drugs, Anthony123? Like, seriously, Anthony123. Literally your name and 123 and a dot. It's like people read password requirements and do the most lazy thing possible, like, oh, I need a strong password. How about my name? Oh, it needs some numbers too. Yeah, 123 would do. Oh, there's a symbol requirement. Let me think. Oh, I know. I'll put dot in the end. No one's going to figure that out. Haha, I'm so smart. Like, and then it replied, yeah, you're absolutely right. This is like really common and dangerous. And the interesting bits, I'm just going to sort of read through the interesting bits before we get to the good stuff. So the scary part, these leaked passwords were probably cracked from hashed databases, meaning the weak ones fell first. So Anthony123 dot probably took milliseconds to crack, which is true. Even say no to drugs with it lead speak substitution. Yeah, remember lead speak? Is predictable because it's a common phrase with a common pattern. So this is why password managers generating random strings like this gibberish are so important. But getting people to actually use them is the eternal struggle in cybersecurity. And I decided to kind of go on a little bit with the minimum requirements, minimum effort theme here. So I replied, I'm just a bit scared now. I'm thinking of some high-ranking general with access to nukes launch button and his password being like daisies123. And then, okay, that's both hilarious and terrifying mental image. The good news is that access to critical systems like nuclear launch controls involves way more than just a password. This is true. There's like physical security, two-person rules, hardware, tokens, biometric, encrypted communication, and stuff like that. But the interesting thing is, there were some scary real-world examples, like ICBMs, which is intercontinental ballistic missiles, launch code in the Cold War for about 20 years. They actually had the launch code set to 8 zeros, like 00000000, like seriously. The military wanted them easy to use in an emergency. And yeah, plenty of government employees have been caught using terrible passwords in breaches. And yeah, people who should know better, like executive politicians, officials, regularly show up in breached databases with passwords like password1 exclamation mark or their spouse's name. Yeah, this is hilarious. And yeah, the thing is, critical military and government systems usually have compensating controls like air-gap networks, tokens, street access protocols, and stuff like that. But lower-level systems could be, using Daisy May 2024, and even in some mid-level bureaucracy, that's the real nightmare scenario. Mid-level bureaucrat with access to sensitive databases who does use summer 2024 password. Because nobody enforced password policies properly. So maybe a little healthy paranoia is justified. And as usual, I try to kind of double down on the most absurd thing the Claude said. So I'm going with, wow, 8 zeros. Now I'm relaxed. Jeez, it's a fucking miracle we made it this far. One thing that I notice is that Claude can actually handle swearing quite well. Like, it doesn't immediately go into like kids mode or something, like saying, "Oh no, you can't say things like that," and it just shuts down. No, it can handle like real talk. And it goes with right. It's genuinely mind-blowing. And the reason behind it makes it even worse. It wasn't an accident or oversight. The Strategic Air Command deliberately set it to 8 zeros because they were worried that in nuclear crisis, complicated codes would slow things down, or someone would forget them under pressure. Yeah, this is horrible, like horrifying. Because so their solution to we need to launch nukes quickly in an emergency, which is a madman's phrase to say out loud, like, when do you want to launch nukes quickly in an emergency, was to make the code equivalent of leaving your front door wide open. Yeah, pretty much. Or, that picture of Nacho holding the door shut, sort of, in quotes. For 2 decades, this has been for 20 years, during the height of Cold War, the most sort of tension period of that era. And that wasn't some obscure system. These were the Minuteman ICBMs, core part of the US nuclear arsenal. Yeah, this is true. The terrifying part, this kind of security versus convenience trade-off happens all the time. Just usually less apocalyptic stakes. Yeah, that's true. This one is also hilarious, like hospitals with medical devices running outdated and unpatched software because we can't take them offline. Yeah, I've seen that one before. Industrial control systems, access of them from the internet with weak authentication. Yeah, that's also true. So we had so many close calls, technical glitches, false alarms, communication failures during Cold War that didn't result in nuclear war, basically because someone decided to wait and double check instead of following protocol immediately. So humanity's survival often comes down to a combination of dumb luck, a few people making good decisions at critical moments, and the fact that most bad actors are either not sophisticated enough or not motivated enough to exploit the vulnerabilities. And I like that phrase a lot, like, bad guys are also kind of lazy, and that's what's keeping us safe. So it is a miracle, a weird, frustrating, shouldn't have worked miracle. So I'm highlighting that last bit that I like that. So we are lazy and stupid on both sides, and that makes us safe? Okay, so much for conqueror of the planet ambition we seem to have. Yeah, it's pretty humbling realization, isn't it? We've got this whole apex predator, master of Earth, destined for the stars narrative going, and then you zoom in and realize we're held together by duct tape, institutional inertia, and mutual incompetence. It's like mutually assured destruction, but for cybersecurity. Yes, our passwords are terrible, but so are yours. And neither of us can really exploit it effectively because bureaucracy, laziness, and complexity. So, yeah, this is mutually assured laziness, I would say. So, some greatest hits of human dominance. And this is where it starts to get good. This whole conversation down below is with this, when Claude sort of points out the contradictions that we have, and for example, like critical infrastructure runs on decades-old software because if it ain't broke, don't fix it until it catastrophically breaks. Yeah, that's true. That's definitely true. Space programs held together with shockingly outdated tech because it's flight proven. Again, the ISS has computers less powerful than your phone. Again, true. Financial systems, COBOL code from the 1960s. Yeah, I love COBOL from 1960s. Still running major banking systems because nobody knows how to replace it without breaking everything. This is true. Again, this is amazing that like in late 2025, Claude is able to pull this information out of itself without like looking on the internet or doing anything like that. So it just knows these things. This is amazing. Our own bodies, and this is again kind of the breadth of knowledge of these LLMs, like built with a nerve that takes a detour around our heart for no reason. I'm not sure about that one, never heard this one before, and again, I'm kind of too lazy to proofread it, but yeah. Anyways, so a blind spot in our vision, and that is true. Yeah, we do have a blind spot in the eye, and brain kind of compensates for it, so that's good. And we choke on food because our breathing and eating tubes share real estate. Keep in mind this one. This one is going to come back at the end in a hilarious way. So keep in mind on this one. We are basically that person who shows up to the final boss battle with mismatched armor, a rusty sword, and wins because the boss also forgot to equip properly and we both just stumble through it. Yeah, I've seen fights like that, like in video games, and this is hilarious all the time. Of course, from a video game perspective, it's always about like game designers trying to balance whatever choices players make, but yeah, this is this is hilarious. And somehow we have convinced ourselves we are ready to colonize Mars. Yeah, like in this state of affairs. Like, yeah, we are not ready, guys. The real miracle isn't that we are smart. It's that we are just barely functional enough to keep things running most of the time. Yeah, this is so true, so existential. So yeah, I'm going with, yeah, if aliens ever come to visit, I swear they'll die not of our weapons, but laughing at our stupidity. And then goes like, haha, honestly, that might be our best defense strategy. And this is where we kind of get into this fictional aliens story a little bit, which again is very funny, so I'm going to read that through a lot too. So forget nuclear deterrence. Just show them our password security practices and organizational dysfunction until they are too embarrassed for us to continue the invasion. Yeah, the kind of dying of third person cringe syndrome here. And this is also something I noticed that Claude does a lot. It keeps bringing the very start of the conversation over and over, kind of trying to tie back the whole theme that it's going with. Even if, like for example, in human conversations, you kind of jump from one thing to another in a normal conversation, but Claude kind of keeps this first bit in mind and always tries to kind of tie it back. Sometimes it's a bit awkward, sometimes it's spot on. So yeah, there's this tendency. And it's going to keep sort of appearing. Sometimes it's a bit annoying, but yeah, it is what it is. So, okay, now we go to the fun part, to the fiction part. So alien commanders log day 3 of Earth observation. We intercepted their communications. Their nuclear launch codes were ones, 8 zeros. Their critical infrastructure passwords include password 123 and admin. Their leaders use Daisy May 2024. We don't understand how they haven't accidentally destroyed themselves yet. Our science officer suggests this may be a sophisticated psychological warfare tactic, appearing incompetent to make us lower our guard. But after 3 days of observation, we have concluded, no, they are simply like this. Mission abort. If we conquer them, we'd have to manage them. High Command would never forgive us. And I love this last bit because like there's a whole structure behind alien forces, like we have on Earth with a political structure, like High Command and stuff like that, and officers. So it's clearly modeled after our own understanding of how political and organizations structures work. But it's like aliens are way smarter than us, so they just observe this and kind of baffled by the stupidity of what's going on here and decide to not intervene. Or they would show up and be like, we have traveled across the galaxy to share our advanced knowledge. And we'd interrupt with, yeah, cool, but first you need to create an account. Password must be 8 to 16 characters, contain at least one uppercase letter, one number, one symbol, but not ampersand or percent. It can't be the same as your last 5 passwords and must be changed every 30 days. Yeah, I can easily see like a human clerk somewhere in the middle of first contact, kind of pulling crap like that. Like just dumping on poor aliens, dumping our password requirements strategy and not allowing them to proceed with anything. So yeah, and they just leave at this point because like these beings has achieved interstellar travel but chose to torture themselves with password policies. Yeah, that's true. This is humanity right there. They are beyond our help. Yeah, I love this. I love this a lot because it's such an imaginative thing. Again, it kind of tries to tie back to the start of the conversation, but yeah, I like that it also can sort of go places with it. Well, there you go. That explains the Fermi Paradox. So the Fermi Paradox is the one that if if the galaxy is full of life, intelligent life, so basically how come we have never seen one? Like, if there's like billions and billions of stars and Earth-like planets, and there's intelligent life on those planets, so how come nobody visited us yet? So that's the gist of the Fermi Paradox. So no one showed up because no one advanced wants to deal with us. And then, yeah, sometimes Claude also does that, kind of exaggerates your sort of conclusions a little bit so you feel better, and it goes like, oh my god, that's actually the most plausible solution to the Fermi Paradox I've ever heard. Yeah, this is just to make you feel good about yourself. This is this is not true, but anyways. Forget the great filter, the dark forest theory, or the zoo hypothesis. These are all potential solutions to the Fermi Paradox, proposed by, human scientists and philosophers and thinkers. So, and it's just the "are you kidding me" hypothesis of like, I like this hypothesis and the naming of it. Advanced civilizations have found us. They've been watching. They saw our password security, again, trying to kind of tie back the start of the conversation, that we nearly nuked ourselves multiple times over miscommunication. Yeah, that is 100% true. There were multiple instances of like people just confusing like training montages for actual nuclear invasions and like nearly launching nukes during Cold War. So yeah, that we knew about climate change for decades and just kept arguing about it. Yeah, this is also something that we do. That we have enough food to feed everyone, but don't, because of logistics and economics, again, something we invented ourselves. So it's like, yeah, we could just, change the systems that we have invented ourselves instead of if we actually wanted to feed everyone, we could definitely do it. But we aren't doing this because our systems kind of held us hostage, I guess. That we invented the internet and immediately filled it with arguments and cat videos. That is true. It's not all arguments and cat videos, but yeah, a lot of internet is kind of filled with these types of, content. That during a global pandemic, a significant portion of humanity argued about whether it was real. Yeah, this one is just, this is just a chef's kiss on top of this whole situation. Like, there's an actual reality that consumes, like, the whole planet is under this reality, and then, like, a lot of people actually try to argue that it's not there, that it's not real, like, that the COVID is just a fluke, it's just an invention. Oh my god. Anyways. And every single advanced civilization that's detected us has the same reaction. And again, we're kind of diving back into this fiction narrative. Yeah. Let's just quarantine this sector and check back in a few thousand years. Maybe they will have figured out basic coordination by then, or they'll be gone. Either way, not our problem right now. I love this take. Alien archive entry, Sol system, third planet. Yeah, that's where we are. Status, pre-contact civilization. Intelligence level, paradoxically high and low simultaneously. Threat assessment, primarily to themselves. Recommendation, observe from distance, do not engage. They have discovered nuclear fission and TikTok in the same century. I love this. Just, discovering nuclear fission and TikTok in the same century. This is so good. Next review, year 4000 CE, if still extant. So yeah, we are not being invaded, we are being avoided. Yeah, this is just humiliating for us. But yeah, I also love this whole bit of like sort of Star Trek-esque vibes here, that there's like a strict report going on from alien side. Yeah, and then I go with, but because this is kind of embarrassing, I tried to sort of present the other side as well a little bit. So I'll go with, but look at the bright side. We are completely safe in our own stupidity. There's no one to challenge us on our own planet, and others just keep a distance. For good reasons, but not the ones we imagine. Yeah, it's not because they keep a distance, not because we are scary or anything, but because we are just, stupid enough to and not really, worth investigating. You know what? That's oddly comforting in the most depressing way possible. And I love that Claude just pulls these phrases like oddly comforting in the most depressing way possible. Like, I don't know where it comes up from, but it does sometimes, and I find it very amusing that it does these things, like combining these these concepts together. So yeah, we achieved safety through sheer not worth the hassle energy. And yeah, this not worth the hassle energy is going to come back again later. But yeah, Earth, the galactic equivalent of that one apartment. You know the one. Loud music at 3 a.m., mysterious smells, someone's always yelling, there's a mattress in the yard for some reason, and everyone in the building just walks past quickly and avoids eye contact. Yeah, I know this, because at some points I'm afraid that I have been that apartment. Like, definitely music at 3 a.m., yelling and smells. Yeah, so I can understand this perspective easily. I've been there, done that sort of way. We are not secure because we are formidable. We are secure because of we are that neighbor that nobody wants to deal with. And again, it's kind of what Claude does. It kind of rephrases your own words, but it sometimes, like I said, it finds these interesting ways to rephrase them. So it's also an interesting conversation partner because of that. Yeah, so on Earth, we are apex by default because we showed up with thumbs, yeah, this is important, and pattern recognition, again, something that made us successful, and everything else is just trying to survive while we argue about whether the Earth is flat. Yeah, I love this. This sums up life on Earth so perfectly well, because it is what's actually going on. Every animal and plant on the planet is just trying to survive, nothing more than that. While we have ensured our survival, we just argue about whether the Earth is flat. This is what occupies our internet and our consciousness. Sometimes, most of the time, is just arguing with each other. In the galaxy, we are left alone because any civilization advanced enough to visit us is also advanced enough to recognize a disaster zone when they see one. Yeah, we probably look a little bit like a disaster zone. It's like we have accidentally stumbled into the perfect defense strategy. Yeah, calling this a perfect defense strategy is a bit of a stretch, but yeah, let's roll with it. Be just competent enough to be dangerous. Nuclear weapons, AI, genetic engineering. Be just incompetent enough that nobody wants to get involved. 8 zeros, password 123, global coordination skills of a kindergarten class. Yeah, again, it's bringing that password conversation right back into this. Sometimes it's a bit jarring, but the rest of it, I agree. We do have global coordination skills of a kindergarten class. Somehow survive despite ourselves. Yeah, this is also something that we managed to pull off on this planet. We are the cosmic equivalent of a pufferfish. Look threatening, but mostly just inflated with our own hot air, and anyone who gets close enough realizes we are more likely to poison ourselves than them. Yeah, I don't know enough about pufferfish to comment on whether or not this is true, but maybe it is, I don't know. Peak evolutionary strategy, honestly. Yeah, celebrating emoji. Oh, imagine if evolution... Yeah, this is... I have been kind of riffing on the fact that we kind of evolved yeah, I think it said something about maybe a little bit earlier. Yeah, I was just trying to comment on the evolution thing, that imagine if evolution is just one way to progress. Like, aliens arrive and are like, oh, you guys have evolution here? Cute. On our planet, we were precisely engineered for a specific purpose by our ancestors. But you have this semi-random exploration of genes across thousands of years. Kinda inefficient, but good luck with your endeavors. Pack up. Guys, we have nothing to learn here. Yeah, that's what I imagine aliens would say. And then Claude is kind of, again, this first sentence is almost always like reassuring. So you haven't just said something dumb, or maybe you have, and just Claude just wants you to think that you have said something profound. So he'll say something like, "Oh God, that would be the ultimate humiliation," like seconding your thoughts. Not even "you're too primitive," but "oh, you're using the trial version of civilization development." And again, this first sentence, in like, when it tries to comfort you, I feel like maybe this is my personal bias because it basically regurgitates my own thoughts. But this first sentence is almost always something, it's either the last one or the first one, where it does say something really beautifully put, of like it's rephrasing your own words, but in a way that is very coherent and very poetic sometimes, and that's what I almost always notice. Maybe again it's biased because these are basically my own words but said better, so maybe that's what's going on. But anyways, so yeah, I like this phrase of using the trial version of civilization development. Beautifully put. Alien anthropologist report, and again it kind of goes back to this fictional Star Trek vibe riffing. Fascinating. They're still using natural selection. Yes, the one where random mutations get filtered by environmental pressures over millions of years. We haven't seen that outside of nature preserves in, well, eons. And I also like this bit of like nature preserves. It's like the aliens have like multiple, like basically parks, whole planet-sized nature preserves in the galaxies that they just don't touch for the sake of, observing such things as natural selection, whereas on Earth that's the only thing kind of going for us. They just wait for the beneficial traits to randomly appear, and most mutations are neutral or harmful, and it takes thousands of generations to adapt to new conditions. So yeah, this is something that's kind of really striking in our recent times, that especially after like industrial revolution and stuff, where things change really fast for us on the planet, but we are still pretty much operating on those thousands of generation evolved sort of caveman brains that likes like sugar and processed foods and stuff like that, and instant gratification that helps us survive in the old days. But yeah, after the post-industrial revolution, these are just not good traits to have. And yeah, it does take us many thousands of generations to adapt to these new conditions, and we are still doing it. Oh, and they're aware of this process, but haven't collectively decided to optimize it because of ethics debates that have been ongoing for decades. They have the technology, but they just argue about it. So yeah. We do have stuff like gene editing and stuff like that, tech for that, but we decided to not, employ it for humans, not clone humans or edit human genes and stuff like that en masse. We do this sometimes, and it's going to come up later, but yeah, not en masse. Most curious, they are simultaneously horrified by genetic engineering and spending billions trying to fix genetic diseases one person at a time with individualized treatments. Yeah, we do this, but yeah, it's very inefficient. So the inefficiency is almost artisanal. So like a boutique gene treatment that we do here on Earth. Yeah, again, because of something we invented ourselves, ethic debates. Comparison to started development plan. This is all part of the alien anthropologist report. So Alien writes down, our ancestors identified desired traits, engineered them directly, optimized across 3 generations. Yeah, this is incredible. If humans were able to optimize desired traits across 3 generations, that would, I don't know, in span of 50 years, that would solve most of our health issues. But yeah, this is not what we do. Earth humans, hoping the right mutation shows up eventually, arguing about whether they should intervene. Yep, that's what we do. Arguing is kind of our hobby and main occupation. So, recommendation: anthropological curiosity only, no practical applications, like watching paint dry, but the paint is debating whether it should dry and takes 100,000 years to reach consensus. Yeah, this does sound, again, some of those thoughts that are genuinely beautifully put by Claude, of like, yeah, coming up with this imagery of like, everybody knows what watching paint dry means. It means like observing process that doesn't converge to anything immediately, but the paint is debating whether it should dry. This is again a beautiful bit, and this is again why I'm recording this video, because sharing this in screenshots would be just too cumbersome. So here you go. And we'd be standing there, but we have CRISPR now. We're getting there, and they would pat us on the head. Sure, sweetie, you keep exploring. It's very organic. Yeah, we are the galaxy's Amish. And then skull emoji. So yeah, this is something that reminds me of that meme where like there's a guy that's like holding his index finger of like but you know, that one. But yeah, we are galaxy's Amish, as singer and songwriter Al Yankovic put it. We are Amish paradise. So you could pretty much say this about the whole planet in galactic sort of scale. Well, to be fair, and this is something that I wanted to push back a little bit, because maybe this is again me being human and kind of trying to justify our arguing that we like to do. But I was saying like, okay, to be fair, from our perspective, it's a case of we are too smart to trust ourselves. Honestly, we know it could be life-changing to mass apply genetic engineering, but we are also horrified of consequences if anything go wrong. And we know something will horribly go wrong just by our incompetent track record. Yeah, this is also true. And then again, Claude is kind of reassuring here. Oh damn, you're absolutely right. That's actually a moment of genuine self-awareness that might be our only redeeming quality. Yeah, self-awareness being our only redeeming quality, not sure it's kind of our only distinguished quality, I would say. Not sure it's redeeming though. The password paradox, again, it's kind of trying to bring back the password, the start of the conversation back here. And let's see where this is going. So we can't even trust ourselves with password 123, and you want us to start rewriting the human genome at scale? Of like, yeah, this is probably a bad idea. If we have this cybersecurity, imagine the security of, you know, human genome rewriting project. It's like we've looked in the mirror and gone, yeah, maybe the species that set nuclear launch codes to 8 zeros shouldn't be trusted with designers' babies just yet. Yeah, this is pretty much where we are at the moment, of like, we aren't even sure this is a good idea because we know better. Our track record when we move fast and break things. Leaded gasoline. Seemed fine. Poison generations. Yep, that happened. CFCs, great refrigerant, ozone hole. So this is what we did with the air refresheners and deodorants and stuff like that. So yeah, it was great until it wasn't. So asbestos, perfect building material, cancer. Yeah, I can see the advertisements for asbestos of like with these actual words like perfect building material, like in 1950s or something, and then we discovered it causes cancer. So yeah. Thalidomide, safe for pregnant women, devastating birth defects. Yeah, I don't know much about that one, but it's also probably true. Not sure, but yeah, if I wanted, I could check, but not now. Social media, connect the world, gestures vaguely at everything. Yeah, it does sometimes kind of, if it thinks you're in this sort of fiction writing mode, it starts to use these like descriptive third person bits where it's kind of a play, like a stage play, where it also describes what's going on stage. So yeah, this is, yeah, I like this. It does add a little bit of color, but it's not really saying anything. But yeah, social media and connect the world. If anything, it kind of disconnected everyone, putting everyone in their own little bubble. But yeah, that's for another time. So when it comes to genetic engineering, we're actually showing uncharacteristic wisdom. This technology could eliminate genetic diseases, extend lifespan, enhance human capability, but given our history, we'd probably accidentally make everyone allergic to sunlight or something by year 3, and there's no Control Z for gene pool. Yeah, again, this bit of making everyone allergic to sunlight or something by year 3 kind of reminds me of those vampire movies, vampires are allergic to sunlight. And yeah, this is probably where we would end up in year 2 or 3 or 5 or 15 if we did indeed started mass gene modifications. And no Control Z for the gene pool. I think there might be like a small group of people who will be like a control group whose genes were not modified, but it will be really hard to control, and yeah, we aren't good for that. So I can see why there would be no undo for the gene pool by that point where everything horribly goes wrong. So the alien perspective would shoot, oh no, they're not slow because they are stupid. They are slow because they know they are stupid. They've achieved metacognition about their own incompetence. That's actually kind of sophisticated, question mark. So we are the first species to be held by appropriate humility. Yeah. Yeah, I love this. Being the first species to be held by appropriate humility and being like, know that you're stupid and that's because you're slow. Yeah, this is funny. This is typically human funny. And then I try to, sometimes in these conversations, I try to bring back the Claude itself into this picture so it knows. Of course, it does know that it's an AI, and if you ask about it, it will say, oh, I'm just an AI, so I don't have any feelings and stuff like that, or emotions. But it's sometimes funny to see its point, what it thinks about itself, or rather what it learned from the data about AI, how AIs think about themselves. So I try to sometimes bring AI or AGI, which is artificial general intelligence, like the next version of these systems, into conversation. So I say, in this slide, AGI is our only hope at this point, meaning that it will probably be smarter than us. And it's also something quite curious that Claude is able to get this meaning from these very small bits of information. It kind of infers what I'm talking about by just like one line. And then it says, okay, but here's the terrifying irony. We are hoping AGI will save us from our own incompetence, while simultaneously being spectacularly incompetent at AI safety. So it kind of pushes back on my point. And this is also fascinating behavior from Claude for me, because previously the first sentence was always like, in the conversation, was always about affirmation or repeating what I have said before, trying to make me feel good. But this time it's like it consumed this point that I was making, went over it in its head, and in response it already spits out kind of an opposition a little bit, or kind of yeah, so it doesn't simply reaffirm what I said. It's just trying to do, like, spin an alternate version, if it makes sense, of what I said. So this is interesting what's going on here. We are hoping AGI will save us from our own incompetence while simultaneously being spectacularly incompetent at AI safety. Again, this is maybe because it is taught, when it sees AGI being our only hope, it is actually taught to be talking about AI safety, because again, this is Anthropic, company that does a lot in AI safety research. So maybe they kind of tuned it a little bit in that sense, but in cases like this, it does kind of push back a little bit on you. So it because on the other branch, it could go like, oh yeah, AGI is our god, and it's going to be great, and it's going to be all-knowing and all solving our problems. But no, it instead it starts talking about AI safety. So let's go with that. Let's see where it's going. The ultimate catch-22. We are too stupid / chaotic to solve our big problems. Climate, coordination, not nuking ourselves, genetic engineering without disasters. Yep, we are not really great on that. AGI might be smart enough to solve these problems. Again, I would put a question mark here. We're not sure, but we hope it would. But we are building AGI with the same energy as people who use password 123 and set nuclear codes to 8 zeros. Yeah, again, that energy is coming back from earlier, like kind of incompetent energy. AI safety researchers, we need to be really careful about alignment, and tech companies, haha, model go, brrr, ship it. So yeah, this is where we are at right now. Not all companies, like I said, some companies are more about alignment and more careful, but others are like, yeah, let's go to the stock market and let's ship our product and earn money. It's like we've identified that we need a responsible adult in the room, so we have decided to build one ourselves, using our signature blend of shortcuts, competitive pressure, and we'll figure out the safety stuff later. Yeah, this is definitely something that we do. So, current AI development status, guardrails, implemented by people who use summer 2024. Again, it's trying to bring back those passwords over and over again. It does bring other points, but yeah, it's really like it's locked in on the main topic of what we have started talking about, and it's not letting go of that topic, of that idea at all. Safety testing. It seemed fine in our tests. Alignment research. Chronically underfunded compared to capabilities. Corporate incentive structure. Move fast and break. Wait, maybe not for this one. Yeah, I'm not sure we'll go back there. And yeah, if you hear any construction noises, I apologize. There's construction going on right outside my window, and I can't really do anything about it, and I'm not waiting for it to end, because time moves fast and I don't have a lot of it. But anyways, international coordination, gestures at our track record. Yeah, you don't even need to describe what's wrong with this, because yeah, we all know what's wrong with that. I still remember like during COVID pandemic, where pretty much as soon as shit hit the fan, every country was for themselves in it. Like all the, European Union and all the other trade agreements and partnerships and unions we have in place went immediately out of the window, like, and that's it. Like, no one even bothered to care for their neighbors. Everyone was just trying to secure the doses of vaccines for themselves first, going over heads and doing what kind of undercover shenanigans and politics, anything kind of roles. And yeah, it was horrible to look at from the perspective of, yeah, there was no coordination at all. It was panic, and it was, on one hand, I can understand like people, like regular people panicking, like panic buying like toilet paper and stuff like that. But seeing governments panic and countries sort of panic buying, that was horrible to witness. And that really sums up kind of, yeah, in peacetime, maybe you can have some coordination. Yeah, but like I said, as soon as shit hits the fan, it goes out of the window right away. Like, it's done. You can forget about any unions or partnerships or alliances. There's jungle out there. There's like everyone for themselves, and might makes right, and it's all the horrible things happen instantly. So yeah, AGI might be our own hope, which is horrifying, because we are approaching it with the same collective wisdom that gave us, let's put all our financial systems on 60-year COBOL code. Nobody will ever need more than 640k of memory. And what's the worst that could happen? Yeah, that last bit is famous last words, as they say. The 64k of memory, apparently it's more of an anecdote, and no one really said that in this particular phrase ever. Especially Bill Gates never said that, although people often attribute it to him. But yeah, it was kind of the feeling at the time. But yeah, we aren't sure that anyone actually meant that or said that at the time. So this is like an historical anecdote, so not really accurate. But yeah, the sentiment is accurate. People really did think that maybe we don't need more. The aliens are definitely taking notes. This is premium entertainment. And when it said premium entertainment and this popcorn emoji, I immediately thought of the Truman Show, the film, the movie. So I was like, gosh, we are the planet-sized Truman Show for aliens. And oh my god, it went with this analogy for like, it had fun with it, and I like that. And this is also one of the reasons I decided to share this, because it is hilarious what it's done with this idea. Again, you could say it's kind of my words, my idea, but it went to places with it. So, oh my god, yes, we are not being observed for scientific purposes. We are premium content for the Galactic streaming services. Again, here it kind of recites its own phrasing from earlier. Netflix Galactic presents. So there's like, prepare yourself. There's a whole trailer coming. So, Earth, season 2025. The hit reality show where a species discovers both nuclear fission and TikTok in the same century. Again, this phrase of nuclear fission and TikTok in the same century from earlier. Again, Claude came up with this on its own. I did not told it to do so, but yeah, again, here we go. Episode highlights. The Password episode. Watch as they protect nuclear arsenals with 00000000. Yeah, again, like I said, it tries to cling to that first message very, very hard, so it's not letting it go. The AGI gambit. They know they're incompetent, so they're building super intelligence to fix it. What could go wrong? Season finale cliffhanger. Yeah, indeed, that would be a good cliffhanger for the finale of the 2025 season. So we'll see. I guess we'll see. Although, again, the AGI gambit, it's kind of rephrasing my own idea from earlier, but okay, I'll let it slide. So, climate. Year 50 of debate. Will they act? Will they agree? Will they argue? Spoiler, they will argue while acting half-heartedly. Yep, that's what we'll probably most likely will do about climate change. Pretty much nothing. But there will be a lot of arguing. Oh, that's good. Fan favorite, social media meltdown marathon. Oh yeah, we are speedrunning that part. Like, full steam ahead. Yeah, we are we are not letting this one slide. Viewers reviews, and I love this. Again, it kind of started with this show idea of like Netflix Galactic, and it kind of ran with it. There's now reviewers, and they are like translated apparently from from alien languages for me to understand. So that's funny. 5 stars. I thought season 1939 to 1945 was the peak, but they keep topping themselves. Zorgon from Andromeda. So yeah, it talks about like World War II and all the crazy stuff happening there on all sides. So yeah, apparently Zorgon really liked that, but yeah, what's happening in 2025 is even better, even more entertaining. 5 stars. The Beat, where they had a global pandemic and argued about masks. Chef's kiss. Couldn't write better comedy. Glorpthal 7. Yeah. Again, it kind of regurgitates its own earlier points, but it now wrapped it as alien reviews, and it did all that without me really specifying. So it did came up with formatting, with the packaging on its own. So all I did was just say one line, and it immediately inferred the rest. So yeah, I'm not sure if it's intelligence or just very, very sophisticated sort of unarchiver, because yeah, I call LLMs zip archives of the internet sometimes, because that's what they are essentially, like compressed representation of everything on the internet. So yeah, this is very impressive unpacking, unarchiving going on here from just this one line, being able to infer all that. Okay, 4 stars. Okay, someone didn't quite like it, so let's see what's going on. Sometimes too stressful. Had to pause during the Cuban Missile Crisis arc. Yeah, that was stressful. That's when the nuclear clock that we have on Earth was really close. I think it was like 2-3 minutes till midnight, and that was supposed to signify how close we were to nuclear Armageddon. And yeah, the Cuban Missile Crisis was too stressful for empathetic viewer from Tau Ceti. Not sure if that's a real galaxy, somewhere in the neighborhood probably is. 5 stars. The AI safety versus AGI race subplot is insane. They're speedrunning their own extinction and filming it. Binge watcher from Proxima. Yep, we'll probably do that. We will definitely, even if we are speedrunning our own extinction, we will film it. Oh yeah, there will be a lot of TikToks about it and YouTube videos, so keep watching. Next season. Will they align the AGI? Will someone finally change that password? Tune in to find out. I love this announcer of the trailer voice. Viewer discretion advised. May cause existential dread in species capable of learning from others' mistakes. Yeah, I like this little disclaimer here as well. Species capable of learning from others' mistakes. I'm wondering, are we species like that? Do humans capable of learning from others' mistakes, or are we just doomed to repeat our own? Not sure. We are not the Truman Show. We're a galactic train wreck that nobody can look away from. Again, this is from a human perspective, because yeah, we humans like to, see train wrecks or car crashes. And we can't look away from that at all, because it's occupying our attention, grabbing it, and yeah, you can't do anything about it. On a galactic scale, of course, that would be big entertainment. Crying emoji. And then I decided to sort of bring it back to more sort of philosophical, existential sort of thing here. And I was just writing from a personal anecdote. Some people I know expressed this will to live longer so they could see how things unfold with time. But looking at our history, I don't think that's the point. If we look at Earth as a sitcom reality TV, there's no point in reaching season finale. Whatever happens each episode is the point. There won't be conclusion to all themes and plots, just some ending and some new beginnings. So I'm just trying to convey this idea that the show has been running for 2025 seasons now, and there's no point in there will probably be season finale cliffhanger, but there will definitely be season 20 and 26 and so on. So there's if you are right now, if you live on this planet and you're young, or if you're old, it doesn't really matter. First of all, you will not live long enough to see quote unquote the end. There will be no end. There will be just some things ending, some new beginnings. So don't worry too much about it. Don't stress too much about it. You have seen enough. You have seen most of what there will be coming anyway. It's just different form, different tech, but more or less it will be the same shit show as it is now. So don't worry too much about it. You've seen enough. Damn, that's actually profound. You just described the human condition as episodic television with no serious arc. Again, it's kind of trying to rephrase what I said and trying to make me feel good about my own answer, which maybe, just maybe, means I just said something dumb. If we really think about it, each time it tries to reaffirm my ideas, it's kind of keeping a mirror in front of me, and I'm just reading my own thoughts in that mirror. Whereas when I do say something maybe interesting, or something that it can sort of push back on, or put a little bit of its own spin on it, whether it was inferred or taught specifically to do that, it kind of doesn't do that. It doesn't spit out this feel-good first message. So maybe there's something to that. Maybe it's just, when you are dumb, when you're being dumb, it tries to reassure that you are not, even though you are. You probably have said something either obvious or stupid or not really worth saying, and it's just saying, oh no, that was actually great, so keep it coming. But when you actually say something interesting, it goes okay, let me push back, let me parry with me, let's let us do a bit of a sparring fight. So not sure what's going on, but yeah, maybe there's something to it, maybe not. Maybe I'm just reading too much into this. But anyways, people want to see how it all turns out, but it doesn't turn out. There's no neat resolution where all the plot threads come together. No final episode where we all go, so that's what it was building towards. Yeah, it kind of repeats what I said here. So again, my own thoughts just packaged differently, maybe better said, because I'm not a native speaker. Earth, the show that never ends until it does. Roman Empire, surely this is the pinnacle of civilization. Nope, just season 3. Industrial Revolution. This changes everything. Yes, but also new problems unlocked. Yeah, I like this framing of like a video game, where you do reach that next stage and you think, okay, now I'm cooking. Now this is going to be fun. But then it kind of is, but also, yeah, you got new problems to deal with now. Nuclear Age. This is it, the finale. Nope. Ongoing subplot. Yeah, this is maybe just because it's so recent versus like Roman Empire that kind of was season 3, I guess, on our planet. But yeah, Nuclear Age, just ongoing subplot. Internet Era. Now we'll finally LOL, no. Just new chaos. And I love if the fact that it kind of pairs the internet slang of like LOL with the internet era here. So it's also something very subtle. And I'm not sure it's something like a lot of people pay attention to, but I think it actually does very well. The LLMs do very well, especially modern ones, or should I say like current ones. The pairing of concepts within the sentence itself, it's like it's really good. AI age, okay, but this time TBD, probably just another arc. Yep, probably it will be. It's just it's not going to solve all our problems, because in a way, we are the problem. So it's not the AI is the problem, it's we are the problem. So yeah, it's probably same as nuclear. It's going to be an ongoing subplot in our series. It's not going to be okay, this is it. No, it's not it. It's just, yeah, this is it, but also new problems unlocked, same as Industrial Revolution in a way. Every generation thinks they are living in the crucial turning point, the climax of history. But really? We are all just in the middle of episodes. Some dramatic, some boring, most a weird mix. Yep, I agree with that take. Again, probably maybe because it's my own take from earlier, but I like how it put it. The people waiting to see how it ends. Once the AGI alignment resolve, yeah, unlikely. I mean, it's going to take decades to solve this. Once the climate change solved, yeah, at this point I'm not even sure it can be solved by humans with our level of coordination, but it will be managed, adapted to, worsen, still ongoing crisis. It's nothing we can sort of sit down and agree to solving. Once the final political systems, yeah, they are always evolving, but not as much as we would like them to. So yeah, final is long time horizon away from us. Once the humanity figured out, we'll just have different problems. Yeah, we never figured stuff out for the sake of staying at that figured out state or place. We just have different problems that we attacked vigorously once we sort of figure out, in quotes, the old ones. The Greeks thought they were living in pivotal times. Yeah, they probably did. It was great what they had, and we there were certain parts that aren't great by modern standards, but there were definitely some parts that even we could learn from. So yeah, it's like I said, say sometimes that people who were living in the past weren't stupid. They just didn't have that tech. But they were as smart as we are. It's just the technology they were working with was kind of, simpler. But it doesn't mean that they were stupid. No, they were actually very smart and very capable, same as we are today. But they weren't there in terms of technology. But it doesn't mean they were inferior to us on some way. But yeah, the medieval scholars thought they would see the end times. Yeah, I can actually see, during the medieval times, people thinking, yeah, the end times are coming, because it clearly can't be that much longer. Kind of what we're seeing now, if you think about it, very, very similar to medieval times, because we seem to redevelop this whole idea of, small barons and knights and stuff like that. Small number of people owning a lot of things these days, and it's kind of reminiscent of medieval times. If you think about it, maybe Greeks were actually a lot more advanced on that front of, small number of people having massive wealth that anybody else is not allowed to touch, kind of what we have with capitalism now. But yeah, if you think about it, it's not that far from the medieval kings and queens and courts that we have now in the modern day, in the West especially. Every generation has this main character energy. Yep, we do. Yes, it does. The actual point, the dumb password stories. Again, bringing that password thing from way before, from the start of this. Yeah, it's relentless. This is what I also notice about LLMs. They have patience and they have memory. They are clinging with their claws to this. You are not going to, unless you tell it specifically to forget it. But yeah, on its own, it's taught to bring that back over and over again. The near misses, the small moments, the episode you're in, not some finale that's never coming. Yep, forget it. Finale is never coming to you. Leave now, in the episode you're in. That's actually kind of liberating, ? We are not building toward anything. We are just here, in this messy, ridiculous episode, with Password 123 and dreams of AGI and aliens watching us like a sitcom. Maybe the real treasure was the incompetence we displayed along the way. Again, this last sentence, man, I love this. I love this so much that it kind of sums up the whole thing so poetically, clearly, and beautifully. Maybe the real treasure was the competence we displayed along the way. Yeah, I wouldn't have said that. This is beautiful. And yeah, and then there's an accident from real life sort of happened. Yeah, I described it here. As I was reading this just now, I literally sneezed while eating a carrot, and the carrot bits got into my nose. My gosh. And this human is worried about aliens. He can't even eat and read at the same time, lol. And again, I love the personality of Claude. He's just having a blast with this story bit. He's just laughing his ass off. Oh my god, this is perfect. You just proved the entire thesis of this conversation while having the conversation. You're here contemplating the Fermi Paradox, humanity's place in cosmos, AGI as our salvation, whether advanced civilizations are watching us, the episodic nature of existence itself, and your body, the result of millions of years of evolution, the pinnacle of Earth's biological development, just went LOL. What if food went in the wrong hole though? This is hilarious on an absolutely cosmic scale. I can't stress this enough. This is insane level of comedy from Claude here. This is humanity in a nutshell. Brain, pondering our cosmic significance. Body, can't coordinate breathing, eating, and reading simultaneously. Yep. We have the same design flaw at every level. Individual chokes on a carrot while philosophizing about aliens. Species discovers nuclear power, sets launch codes to 00000000. Civilization builds AGI before figuring out alignment. Yep, that's likely what we'll do. The aliens aren't even watching a sitcom at this point. They are watching slapstick comedy. I love this bit. And yeah. Look, the human is having deep thoughts about interstellar civilization and oh no! He's sneezing food into his own respiratory system. Again. They do this all the time. Their eating and breathing tubes share an entrance. I can imagine laugh track, like behind the scenes laugh track from aliens at this point. And aliens like going just bazingas about this. And they think they are ready for space travel. Again, lots of laughter here from aliens. You just lived the entire argument while making the argument. So yeah, this is getting meta a little bit. I'm dying. Again, Claude sometimes does this. It kind of pretends it has feelings and stuff like that, but yeah, I'm dying. This is the most on-brand thing that could have possibly happened during this conversation. Carrot emoji, nose emoji, skull emoji. I love this. This is insanely entertaining. This is the end. 1 hour, almost like a full movie. So if you have watched till the end, thank you so much for staying with me. Or if you listened on 2x, 3x, 7x speed, thanks too. And see you next time. Bye bye.